we have the double trifecta of no microphones and quite strong rain. But I'm going to preach whether you like it or not. Only because I think this Sunday is a very important Sunday for lots of reasons. Don't tell anybody this, but Jesus didn't have brown hair, he didn't have white skin, and he didn't have blue eyes. Nor did Mary or Joseph. They were black, or at least they were very dark brown, or profoundly swarthy, as the Romans often described the Hebrew people. What we have in the art that all of us have and have grown up with is, of course, the European version of the Holy Family, of a little white Jesus that went all around the world with the colonial powers. How many black Jesuses have you ever seen? In every single parish, school, or Jesuit community I've ever belonged to, I've subjected them to looking at some stage to a black Mary, Joseph and Jesus. Guess what? At some stage I'm going to subject you to it too. And I can vividly remember at Xavier in Melbourne years ago, when we put up a few images of Jesus as being very dark brown or black, a wonderful, venerable and extraordinary member of staff said to me when we were both looking at it one day, "Oh well, we've all gone politically correct, have we?" And I said, "No, we've gone historically correct. Now let's talk about your racism." We have no idea how committed we are to little white Jesus until someone plays with it. Then all of a sudden, every old historical hackle comes out, because that's not the way it's meant to be. Jesus wasn't white. He didn't have brown hair and he didn't have bright blue eyes. That only matters because iconography matters. It really matters. What we see, what we sing, and what we believe are all connected. The problem is that white in our culture has often seemed to be right and godly and spiritual. Black is the colour of night, of darkness, of fear. Fear is a very powerful emotion. Some of us remember the fear campaign that surrounded the High Court's Mabo and Wick land title claims and decisions. We were told at the time that white Australians would be dispossessed of their homes and their businesses. None of it came to pass. Later we were told that apologising to the First Peoples of this great land would see a flood of litigation for compensation. None of that came to pass either. Similarly, we're often told now to be very afraid of putting anything in the Constitution, of any voice to Parliament. I refuse to be mastered by fear, because every time they've told me to be frightened of the First Nations people of this land, they've been wrong. They've been wrong. They want us to be frightened of black people, of night, of darkness, and I will not be so. Catholics know the power of symbols. You wouldn't be at the Eucharist right now, especially after this week where we've discovered what a minority we now actually are in the country. Symbols matter. They're powerful and they're agents of change. I know that you and I are not personally responsible for the act of dispossession. But we are penitential people, so I'm happy to say I'm sorry for all that happened in our name from which we have manifestly benefited and of which have done such terrible things to others. I haven't got a clue what the voice to Parliament should look like. I don't know what recognition in the Constitution might be, but I do know that after 60,000 years of continual possession of this land, where no payment was made, no treaty was signed, and the land was forcibly taken, it wouldn't hurt us to recognise our history. I'm not sure we can move forward in faith, hope and love until we deal properly with our past. I can imagine some of you sitting there saying, I haven't come here to Mass tonight to be preached to. Well, yes, you have. And yes, you do. And I'm not saying I've got the last word on this issue, because some people will say, well, what's that got to do with the gospel? That priest is meant to be preaching the gospel. I'm not sure I could preach a better one right now. I'm not sure there's a more powerful one right now, especially in NAIDOC week. For we're told in tonight's gospel that we're to go out to be labourers in the harvest. Maybe the labouring for us are going to be all those conversations we are going to have with our neighbours, family, friends, children, parents, others, who don't share any of what I've just said in the way that you and I might do. It's going to be those tough moments of saying, we have to do better and be better. We have to be reconciled. And we're going to have people who will oppose us. Okay, I'm happy to disagree as long as we can do it respectfully. All I hope and pray on this Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Sunday is that we find bold words and strong actions to be as reconciled as we can with our brothers and sisters who were the first owners of this land, that they might be able to claim back their dignity, realise their potential, have the same life expectancy as us, nurse all their children to adulthood, which they presently don't do in the same way. They won't be as ridiculously overrepresented in our jails, and that we will confront the systematic institutionalisation which seems to beset us so much right now. In complex situations, there's no quick fix. There's no cheap grace. But may it never be said of those of us who keep coming to Mass, who believe in symbols, and who know the power of this gospel, that we were ruled by fear, and that we missed the presence and actions of God, who in word, in symbol, and in action can change the world for everyone. For my sisters and brothers, that is the gospel of the Lord. Imagine how good that homily would have been with a microphone. And it would have got a bigger round of applause. Let's stand and we'll ask God, we'll profess our faith.